With me here on set now is Kethevane Gorjestani, International Affairs Editor. Kethevane, let's look at it then now from an international perspective. You're going to start off by looking at it from a European and a Ukrainian perspective as well.
Yes. Well, what we're seeing, and we heard from Friedrich Merz himself, which is that he wants to bring back Germany as a stable and strong partner for the rest of the European Union. That's his ultimate priority. He really focused on that, saying that stability within the country means that Germany's voice will be stronger. And he said that right now Europe needed as much stability and as many strong countries as they could get, and probably that the likes of Emmanuel Macron, for example, are going to welcome the fact that there is a strong Germany, someone that is stable and representing something stable in Germany. For the European part, of course, it's very important, and they're interlinked with what is happening in Ukraine, because the Europeans are trying to step up not only their diplomatic support, but also their military and financial support to the Ukrainians. And Friedrich Merz is seen as someone who's a little bit more hawkish when it comes to dealing with Russia and supporting Ukraine than, for example, Olaf Scholz was. One example of that is his openness to, for example, sending those mid-range Taurus missiles to the Ukrainians, something that Olaf Scholz had stayed away from. Friedrich Merz saying that he's willing to consider that. He's also been very vocal about increasing military spending in Germany. This, as we're talking, of course, within the context of NATO and the pressure from the United States for the Europeans to do more. This is something that might be a little bit more complicated, because Armin was mentioning the pressure from the far right, from the far left. And if you combine Die Linke and AfD, they have more than a third of the seats in the Bundestag, which means that they can block any changes to the constitution, especially loosening the country's debt blockage, debt break. And that could be something that they will try to combine their forces to do when it comes to military spending, because AfD is opposed to helping Ukraine. Die Linke is very anti-war, not necessarily wanting to spend more money on defense. So this is where that might come into play. But of course, helping Ukraine is something that Friedrich Merz has said he will continue to do. He said, "My absolute priority will be to strengthen Europe as quickly as possible so that we can achieve real independence from the United States step by step."
The other, of course, relationship that's crucial is the relationship with the US.
Yeah, and you saw Donald Trump congratulating the conservatives, because, of course, he saw it as the victory of the common sense. And it's a little bit odd that he called it a great day for Germany, because, yes, the CDU is conservative, but they are not the AfD. And Merz himself has been extremely critical of Donald Trump and of Trump's administration, especially in the weeks leading up to these elections. He said that it is clear that Donald Trump's government does not care much about the fate of Europe. He even put into question whether in June at the NATO summit, whether NATO would still have the actual support and involvement of the United States. He even talked about Europe and Germany, Germany becoming much more independent and less reliant on the U.S. nuclear umbrella, talking about maybe discussing this with the French, with the UK, the other nuclear power. And most importantly, he was very critical of the US's involvement in the German elections. And I'll finish with this quote: "The interference from Washington was no less dramatic, drastic, and ultimately outrageous than the interference we have seen from Moscow," saying that there is pressure now both from the US and from Russia. And that is why Germany had to be in a strong European Union.